Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It's Monday and it's the 20th of October. And this video is for educational only. There's no advice or recommendation whatsoever intended. It is purely to demonstrate how I try to read the market using technical analysis. So let's see what we can derive from the market movements. And especially Friday we had the US market bouncing a bit, and Nasdaq here bounced. So we are still caught in this big range between 24,186 and the all-time highs there, 25,195. And this is basically the 10th of October move that will be, that is the range. And we can also see here on the weekly, we have a top and reversal. We have this bearish engulfing pattern here. So it's actually a top and reversal indication. It hasn't been confirmed yet, so to speak, because it needs to take out the lows there to do that. And if we do get a close below, well, then we think we will see a large correction. But if it takes out the peak, well, then it's cancelled and then we are moving higher. There is divergence on the RSI, as we talked about for quite some time, indicating uptrend exhaustion and a minor divergence here on the weekly, but in the daily there is. So that will be key to watch here the next few days. Here pre-market, it is has continued pushing higher, about 0.4% pre-market, and maybe that has something to do with what also happened in the Asian market that we are going to look at in a minute, that they have been very strong this morning. S&P 500, as you can see, more or less the same picture. So it is still 6,550 to the downside, and to the upside, of course, the peak there at 6,765. That is the range that needs to break out on. Contrary to that, we actually have Dow Jones that has formed a bearish trend. It could be further confirmed by a close below 45,470. So that will be key to watch here the next few days and weeks. Will it take it out or not, or will it crawl back above? It actually did try it last week, back above the rising trend line there. And then if it does, then well, then there could be an indication that the Dow Jones index will push higher. Here we can also see pre-market on US 500. If it wants to come out of its hiding, there we are. The pre-market also bouncing a bit there, about 0.35%, and also Dow Jones up about 0.3%. So still holding on to the bullish scenario, but it is stretched, as we've been talking about, and it is showing some signs of fatigue, but it can change. In Asian market, we had Seng closing almost 2.5% higher after this massive sell-off Friday that took it down almost to the 100 moving average, but it didn't test the 25,000. So now it's bouncing. Can it get back above 26,000 and these peaks here? Well, then I think if we can get a close up above there, well, but then maybe we could see uptrend resuming. Nikkei, new all-time high, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it hit 50,000 for the first time ever in the coming days. This is the future we are looking at, and it is still trading, so it could push higher there. And that is really something that is pushing the market higher. Also, I think there's really a party out there in Japan. I think we will see a push up to 50,000. So that will probably create some headlines. In Europe, EuroStoxx50 pushing back, and a very strong bounce after it dipped to the 5,488 support. And then it bounced strongly, has bounced strongly. And again, pushing towards its all-time high. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes it out. And then we can actually guesstimate with this, see, all right, where could it move to? And there will then be potential up to 5,745, possibly higher if it takes out the peak there. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it's happening. Here's the CFD, very close to also, and let's also guesstimate that one right there, 5,745. The DAX index is lacking, but has also bounced. It did close Friday below the cloud, so there was some warning signs that maybe this could turn sour, but it didn't really do it because RSI did not close below 40 threshold. Probably tested it during the session, but it didn't close below. So we're still in a positive sentiment, and there's actually no divergence indicating we could see a push higher. So European markets could be a little bit stronger than it first seemed. But let's see if it can stay above the cloud area here, and if it can stay above all these 55 and the 100 moving average, that are both slightly rising, then I think we could see a push higher. And especially if it can take out that peak up there, 24,340 close above, well, then I think we have the uptrend resumes. Here we have the CFD that is bouncing also strongly. So of course, and we could see a bounce. Let's also put a Fibonacci to this one. We did have this top and reversal pattern there, but here, look at that. Testing the 38.2 retracement at 24,055. Moving on to the FX market and euro dollar, and let's zoom in so we can see more what's going on. So what it does, it seems to be hovering around the 100 moving average, currently above. It did spike higher Friday above 117, but couldn't close above, and it didn't close above the day before. So let's see, it's still a little bit limbo. Negative sentiment still on the RSI. We do have a bearish trend, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and lower low. Will this be a new lower high and then a sell-off, or will it take out the peak from Friday and push higher? That would be a key. So look out for the peak Friday. If it takes it out, then it's likely to resume bullish trend. Excuse me. The euro sterling, the range you see Friday, it tested 87.25. That is the resistance level it should break to reestablish the bullish trend. Opened lower today, but well, basically below the rising trend line there, but above the support at 86.55. So it still has this underlying bullish vibe, or underlying bullish sentiment, because still positive sentiment on the RSI, but I need confirmation. 87.25. I want to see it break above. Sterling dollar, well, it can't really make up its mind what it wants to do. Let's just resize this. There we are. But it is below the cloud. It is below 55 moving average. It is in a negative sentiment. It is in a bearish trend. So for now, it is still bearish. It needs to get back above 135.25 here to really establish a bullish trend. If it does that, well, then it will also be back above the cloud, back above all those two moving averages. See the 200 moving average coming up, and so the underlying medium to longer term trend is bullish. But for now, we are still in a bearish trend, so let's see what will happen. Dollar yen bounced strongly, didn't get all the way down to the 61.8, but quite close to, and then a strong bounce. So what we can do now, we can also just have some guidance points, levels, and then we have bounced almost 50% of the sell-off there. So I think we could see further bounce because we do have positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence indicating that we are likely to see a strong bounce or higher, unless it takes out the lows from Friday at 149.35. Then I believe in a stronger bounce and a push up towards 155 in the coming weeks. Euro yen bouncing from the 50% retracement, and could bounce further. I believe it will. Let's add a Fibonacci to it so we can also have an idea. Actually take also 50% of it, and if it takes out that little spike up there at 176.45, then I think we'll see it pushing higher. Positive sentiment on the RSI indicating that we are likely to bounce further and possibly go back and challenge these peaks here. as long as we stay above the lows at 174.80, that spike down there. If it takes that one onto the downside, then I think we'll see a push down to the 786 retracement at 173.47. Aussie yen dipped Friday, very heavy dip there, so extremely volatile front, dip to the 100 moving average and the support there at 96.30. It's not the strongest of support, but it was strengthened by the 100 moving average coming up and also the lower part of the cloud. So I think we will see a bounce. We had this top and reversal like pattern in place. So what we can also do here, we can add Fibonacci to it. See, we almost bounced 50% already also here. So, and I think we could bounce further. We are still above the 55 moving average. We are above the cloud. Positive sentiment on the R side. No divergence indicating further bounce on Aussie yen. It actually indicates that we will see higher levels. So as long as you stay above the lows here from Friday, then we are in a bullish sentiment and a trend. Sterling yen also bounced, almost got Friday down to the 61.8 retracement there, 200.47. Within a few pips from it before it bounced, and then we can also here add a Fibonacci to it. So all right, is this the other way now? And it is most likely positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence. If RSI moves back above 60 threshold, well, then I think we'll see the uptrend confirmed. And here we have the horizontal line, 203.45, and move above that. And if you want to be even more sure, see that one lies around the 61.8 retracement at 203.55. And move above that, especially a close, well, then we are back in a bullish trend. Aussie dollar, a lot of volatility the past week or so after massive sell-off, dip below 64.60 level. What, 1, 2, 3 times although this morning, and now we have this very strong bullish trend here this morning. If it can stay above it, these lows here, and continue higher, then I think we'll see a further bounce. And if we do this, we can see we bounce up to 38.2. There's 50%. There's some strong resistance in this area around the 100 moving average. So it really needs to get back above the cloud, or back above 65.60 to reestablish, I think, a bullish trend. If it takes out the lows there from the past week or so at 64.40, well, then we could see further downside. But do we actually have established a bearish trend? But this could be a turnaround. There's negative sentiment on the RSI, so it's the bounce is not that strong. But let's see. Keep an eye on these levels there. Dollar Canada. Yeah. Well, what can I say? It is a little bit on the limbo, I would say, and if we zoom in and out, we'll see medium term here on the weekly, it's actually in a bullish trend. RSI flirting with 60 threshold, so it hasn't confirmed further upside there. So maybe that's why we see this this bullish trend like pattern here that is fading a little bit, and we have some setbacks. We can try what we can, and this is how you can work with it also. Rising trend line has been broken this morning, but is trying to get back above. So let's see. We could also add a Fibonacci to it, so maybe we are in for a bit of a correction, because the thing here is that we do have the 200 moving average that's actually declining. So it's trying to drag it back, but the 55 is pushing higher, and the 100 pushing higher. So I think we will see a little bit of a setback maybe, and then the next push higher. Positive sentiment on the RSI. Don't think there's divergence. Maybe a little slightly, I would say. So we are a little bit stretched here short term. Let's see. Yeah, we can see it's declining slightly. So if it takes out the peak there at 140.80, then our trend has resumed and pushing towards 142. Excuse me. Sterling Canada can't really make up its mind after breaking, but again, it is very tough pair to trade because it's so volatile, and maybe it has something to do. There's a bit of a spread there. It's not that big actually. But we are still in a bullish trend. If Sterling Canada moves back above the 188.40, then I think uptrend will resume, and it will be confirmed if it takes out the peak from Friday at 189.15. Then we are likely to see it at 190, and we see 55 moving average pointing higher, and 100 also. Positive sentiment on the RSI, but there's actually slight divergence to see these lows here. They're lower than over here. Euro Swiss, strong bounce from the lows there at 92.15 area. That comes back from April earlier this year. So very strong bounce indeed. And let's see, we have measured Fibonacci from the last leg down there. We could see it up to, let's remove this one, up to the 38.2 retracement and 92.77, or from the for the entire downtrend there. Well, then a 38.2 is up here at 93 and a change, and 61 of the short one at the 93.13. So maybe we could see a bounce all the way up into this region here. That is, well, the volatility of this pair here, then it is not unlikely that we could spike up and then set back again. However, if it takes out the lows there and puts below 92, well, then we are back to the 2015 level. So that is much lower. Excuse me. The dollar Swiss bounced from the 786 retracement. Tried to do it a couple of times. Open lower this to spike lower at here at 0.7881. If it takes out the lows from this morning, then we're likely to see a push below this lows there towards 78. Then we have a Fibonacci we could add there, and we are very close to well, reach the 38.2 retracement. Let's zoom in a little bit more. 38.2 retracement there, 79.48, and the falling trend line. So if it can take out that, well, then I think we will see a push up to 61.8 retracement there, just around 80. Dollar index bounced from the 55 and the 100 moving average. That lies here just below the 38.2 retracement, spike just below the cloud. I think we will see it bouncing further. We have still positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence. And if RSI moves back above 60 threshold, bullish trend has been confirmed, resuming. And here we have a Fibonacci to it. So if it can crawl higher, but we're already back above the cloud, so we only dip below. So still slightly positive undertone, and I think we could see a push higher. And that also means we are likely to see euro dollar lower. So let's keep an eye on that. Moving on to the gold market again. Gold market here. Very volatile Friday. Very again also very strong Thursday. Friday spiked higher and then collapsed a bit and bouncing a little bit now. So that is a straight line more or less without any meaningful corrections where you can measure from. However, I measured from the last minor correction we had here. So could we dip lower? So if it takes out the lows from Friday at 4,185, then I think we could see a correction lower, and it could actually take us all the way down to this area around 4,000, maybe the 4,037, which is the 786 retracement, but could dip all the way down to the 38.2 retracement of this uptrend here at 3,971. So let's see about that, unless it takes out the peak there. But we have a kind of a top reversal pattern. It's not really that significant. And look at this. We do not have a divergence on the other side. This here is actually higher than I think. I need to measure that more better. Hang on. Excuse me. There we are. What is that? 87.36, and this one is 87.38. So we actually have slightly divergence. 2 pips lower here than here. So it's actually telling us uptrend exhaustion, but we have seen this before. So let's see, be careful. But if it takes out the lows from Friday, that could signal a larger correction. Same picture on the silver, actually. Massive sell-off Friday after a new all-time high. Didn't get all the way up to $55 an ounce. If it takes out the lows there at the 55 spot, 50, I would say 55, just subtract a little bit, then I think we'll see a sell-off down to around 47.5, which is the 38.2 retracement of this uptrend here. We can see there's been almost no real corrections. There's a little bit in this area here, so we could see it maybe setting back to even the 61.8. I don't think we will see that, very strong indeed, but there is a risk if it takes out and establishes a bearish trend. But for now, it doesn't seem it, but be careful if you're trading silver. If it takes out the peak, well, then we are looking higher. And I think actually on the medium to longer term, we could push higher, but as you can see, very stretched there, and RSI in almost up to 90, well, 86, 85, really something there. Platinum hit by selling Friday, retraced to the 38.2 here at 15.50 and then bounced. Also you see these long wicks or shadows here, telling us that maybe there are trend exhaustion. So it really needs to get back above and take out the peak there to really push higher. So we have some support here at 15.25. If it takes out the lows there from this morning, then it could come under pressure, and it's not the strongest one anyway. So let's see about that. Copper. Very volatile, but dancing on the spot more or less. Still needs to get back and close above 515. And if it takes out 482, excuse me, then we could see further selling down to 468. But a little bit of bounce here towards the end of last week. And I think we could maybe see it bounce. Positive sentiment on the RSI. Indicated we could see it higher, and we are still in a bullish trend despite these volatile days there. Bearish trend seems to continue on the crude oil market here at the WTI, and I still think we will see it pushing towards 55. Will we get all the way down there? It's debatable, but negative sentiment, no divergence on the RSI is indicating that. And we are in a bearish trend, pointing lower with all the moving averages to Brent crude oil. 58 area could also be reached here fairly shortly with the RSI pointing lower. The European nat gas, really boring at the moment, just humming sideways in this range here, 30.70 and 33.90. US nat gas, on the other hand, has jumped this morning and is back above the cloud. RSI bounced from the 40 threshold, so we could see it bouncing further, and I think it will here in the coming days. If it doesn't close this gap here, then I think we'll see it bounce further towards these peaks here at 350, 360 area. Moving on to the interest on the yields market, and I think we should have a look at the weekly too. We can see here that the US 10-year Treasury yield has bounced after dipping to 393, and then a bounce, and we can add Fibonacci to that and say, okay, can we get some help here? The last leg lower, there we are, has bounced to the 38.2 retracement, could bounce further to the 408. So we are flirting, we are above the 4% again, but as you can see, we are in a bearish trend on both short and medium term. On the European 10-year, bounced strongly, dipped below the 253, 54 lows. Their minor support is not the strongest one. The strong one is down here at 243. but it bounced, and I think it will bounce further. We remove this one, and I think we'll see 262 being hit here, possibly in a few days. The speed is always difficult. If it takes out the lows from Friday there, then we are looking at 243 down here, possibly lower. But a bounce seems to we are going to get maybe up to 265. UK 10-year also strong bounce after breaking the medium-term rising trend line. They're trying to get back above it. Let's see if we can do that. I'm not so convinced, to be honest. We are in a bearish trend, negative sentiment, trying to get back, but maybe we could get up to 38.2 retracement. But if it takes out the lows there, then we're looking at 433. Japanese 10-year bounced also this morning in Asian session after bouncing from or finding support there at the lower rising trend line and the 50% retracement there at 162, and is now bouncing and could resume uptrend to the previous peak and higher. Moving on to the crypto markets, also bouncing across the board. We are back above this 107,000 after dipping below. We didn't get all the way down to the 100,000 level, but strong bounce there. And what I will do, I will remove this one and add a new one and say, all right, is this something we can use? Possibly. Very close to the 38.2 here at 112,200. If it takes out the spike up there at 116,078, well, then I think we'll have established a bullish trend. But for now, we're still bearish. Ethereum didn't take out the lows there, didn't get all the way down, so caught in a limbo here. If it moves back above 4,296, uptrend has resumed. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and talk to you again later.